So today's topic is to do with why do we attract what we lack, not what we want, and something to do with repeating family trauma. And it's something that I'm spending more and more time uncovering and discovering. It's a gift that I have been given to me. Oh, okay. I thought it was my charm or a smile. I mean, I thought there was something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So my auntie happened to be in town, my father's sister, and I was just looking at her, examining, watching her patterns, and watching how she is, and I was noticing how she was reacting, and they use this word like shame, shame. It's a South African thing. Oh, shame! You got to do that. Shame! You got to do that. And like I don't talk like that. We don't talk like that in our family. But that's how it was growing up. Now, if you think about when you're saying the word shame a lot, what are you saying about life? Shade, Anissa, you're South African, so this term really resonates because many other countries don't. What does it mean when you say, oh, shame? Anissa? Pity, pity, exactly. So what it is, oh, shame. In other words, you poor thing. That's what another translation of that would be, you poor thing, right? So when you say you poor thing, what you're saying is that it's so sad to see that you've become a victim to life. That's what they're saying, right? And so our cat scratched himself quite badly, as cats do. And I was with her in the car, and I said, oh, my wife's taking the cat. Oh, he just walked into the back as I was talking about him, taking my cat to the vet. And she said, oh, shame. She does so much, doesn't she? And I went, no, she doesn't do so much. She just does what she does. She, oh, because she loves you. I said, no, it's not because she loves me. She's just doing it. And she was like, oh, we don't realize the language that we use. So last night I was sitting with her till 12:30, and she said, "You changed my life," and beautiful type of because it's like looking in the mirror. I'm like, I can see all the patterns in you, and it's not that my family is unique. We all love a pity party. There's not many people who feel empowered of the day, that feel like life is a wonderful opportunity to live this day. And then she said, I want to pray for you, and may you never be harmed, and may your children be safe, and may you never suffer. And I went, yeah, but that's all so gloomy, right? How about you make for me dua of a prayer that my life is full of adventure, that I have so much fun, that everything just works out in my favor. We don't even pray like that. Guys, can anyone resonate with this? Please tell me. Hello. So we have this generational patterns that is hidden in front of us in the language and how we express with each other. Look at our conversations. How was your day? It was all right, It was all right. Yeah, yeah. That's a normal answer. Now, if you meet a guy like me and how was your day? And I go, fantastic, the best day I've ever had in my life. Guys are like, what is this guy smoking, right? Because you're not supposed to be so positive about life. You're supposed to have a shitty day, but despite the shitty day, you're still okay. Okay? Because this is irrational behavior and is not acceptable by society. Right? So we can see how our entire dialogue and how we engage with life is entirely the sufferers. So I said, one thing our family does very well, they've perfected the art of suffering. There's nobody that knows how to suffer than my family. And I'm not talking about my family specifically here, right? Everything's a suffering. I can tell you, life's difficult, but you know what? We're going to pray. We're going to get there. Everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, but it's not suffering. This is just engagement with life, right? And I'm not being smart-assed about this, right? Into my auntie, she's 70 years old, right? I'm just saying, and she's like, oh, yeah, I guess so. It was like so weird. So this learned helplessness is such a big thing. And the more I coach people and the more I pick up these patterns, I'm like, you guys don't even see this. Like, it's so apparent. When you wake up in the morning, the first thought you think, what is it? The first 10 thoughts, what is it? And if you can analyze that, you realize, oh my God, my life is pitiful. It's sad, but it's not. You're just choosing to look at it that way, not because you're an idiot, because nobody's told you, hey, you can wake up in the morning and just go, I can't wait for this opportunity, right? And it's not affirmations. You see, we say, okay, I'm going to be positive, and today I'm going to write 10 things that I want to do and why life is working in my favor. Why do you need to do that stuff? Look at your body. Look at the room. Look outside, right? It's working in our favor. And I don't want to make it into a what was it, like a sermon, but like, guys, and he said, don't laugh at me. It always becomes a sermon. I know, excuse me, all right? And it's painful, isn't it? Isn't it painful when you're first encountered by someone as obnoxious as I can be? Yeah, I'm a terrible. Yeah, because I, what Miriam said is that there's nowhere to hide from you. You're impossible, because when we're saying it's impossible to hide from me, it's just that because you see the truth in what I'm saying, you're like, because if I was wrong, you'd be like, I got you there. That's wrong, right? Because it's not a contest. But so it's not about bragging about my coaching style. But thank you, Anissa. It's also because, oh, yeah, please do. Because change is so difficult. Because we've learned how to be this way all our lives, to be a victim. So if I tell you to wake up in the morning and go, yay, I'm so excited, you're going to say, but that's too difficult. Because it's so much more known to me to wake up and go, what a miserable life. But you know what? I'll be positive anyway, I'll try and find something that works for me. It'll be okay. And I'm like, but why are you living like that? Right? So, and then it doesn't make sense for you to go. I said, you're going to spend all this money for me to make you feel happy when it doesn't bother you the way you're looking at this world. Right? So that's perfectly fine. So ask yourself this question, right? Is my life working for me? So when I said to my auntie, but it's not even your fault. Like the way you're looking at the world is not even your way. It's inherited. Go find out how your father and your mom perceived the world. Were they waking up going, oh, what a jolly day, son. Let's go out and explore this universe. It's so diverse and our bodies are such robust things. They weren't like this. So this learned helplessness, it's a huge thing. We learned to believe that we live in a universe that is limited, that we must suffer, and then we must push ourselves till the day we die. That's learned, and it's not anybody's fault, right? So when you regard everything as a suffering and you say, shame, you poor thing, it's not your fault. But when we talk about when I say not your fault, whose am I talking about? Am I talking about Rashad, or am I talking the combination of what is Rashad? My mom, my dad, my grandmother, my grandfather, my cousins, my environment, my upbringing, my nationality, my religion, my everything is me, right? And most of us don't know what's inside this me. We think, well, my name's Rashad, and Indian background, South African, I'm a coach. These are all external layers, right? So getting to know yourself is getting to know who you were and how you weren't. So you could just say you don't know who your grandfather was. By piecing together what you have, you're going to discover exactly his personality. We are so predictable in those modalities. Because my auntie's around, I said, could you tell me about dad's brothers and sisters? Could you tell me about his dad's brothers and sisters? And we're like, oh my God, can you see this pattern? So when we talk about inherited family issues, there's some very good traits. Now, my auntie, she's in the 70s, but she's got a will and a desire that her children don't have. She is robust, she is resilient, and she'll put up with anything. She'll fight through everything, right? And that's useful. So we're not trying to ditch everything out, but that stuff that doesn't belong there, two big things that we inherit from everybody, generally in the Western societies and in most Eastern cultures: guilt, shame. Guilt, shame. If you know the value of these two things in destroying your life, then you'd unpack that, because it's part of our human conditioning and it's in us. It's a very easy thing to trigger, guilt and shame. The entire society is built upon shame, okay? And the shame, and then we feel guilty. So if I don't wear a mask, or if I don't social distance, as in the modern day context, that's a shameful act. According to who is the most important thing? The society you live in. And how do you feel? Guilty, which is an emotion that puts you down and it paralyzes you. Now, it's very easy to feel guilt and shame. It's very difficult to feel empowered and feel like you deserve to do that thing. You know, that thing that society said you shouldn't do, right? For instance, ending a terrible relationship. Oh, that's a shameful deed. What will people say, right? So what do? We put up with someone for 40 years, right? Because it's such a shame. But I said, for who? Why are you doing this? Okay? And so that's the important thing. So unpacking guilt and shame and realizing how deeply it's ingrained in our past is incredibly amazing. Abusiveness transcends back and forth. It's very easy to spot. You see, abuse is very graphically visible and physically identifiable. Like my mom was beaten by my dad. My grandma was beaten by her husband. That's very easy to identify. And so when I do that work and I have a client that's been abused, I'll say, could you tell me about your mom and dad? And you have this thing that says, abused people, abuse people. Abused people, abuse people, right? And that's very clear to see. But what about when we abuse ourselves? When we're so nasty and vicious to ourselves that when we look in the mirror, we look at this person and we go, I don't like what I see. That's abuse. But it's not easy to recognize. So self-esteem, we want to call it that, right? Which is a broad categorization. How many people look in the mirror with their clothes off and go, I'm very happy with that. Every bit of that. Warts and all. I say warts and all, right? My saggy boobs. I'm using myself in this example, right? My boobs are not really that saggy, but they are a bit saggy, right? But I look at it, for women, it's more of an issue. Actually, it's worse for a man because a man to have boobs is even worse, right? So if I have saggy boobs and I go, oh, these saggy boobs. It's a bit dramatic. The women are laughing because men don't do this. Men don't really relate to this. But women are like, oh, I can't take those. But if you look in the mirror and you go, ta-da! Sorry, I'm in a terrible mood today. Excuse me, right? So it's a very small bunch of people. And I say, you know what? I love my saggy boobs, right? Now, I'm not being smart or anything, but I just accept this, like the boob or the skin or the hair on my back or the hair on my arms or the whatever this is that we're saying, oh, yeah, you got to go laser that, you know, because that's like, according to who? Like, why do we need to ascribe our identities and the way we look to something society says? What can you tell me? What is the ideal form that we should look like? How should our stomachs be? Our arms, our forearms, our hairstyle, right? Then will we be accepted, right? And if we are accepted, then do we all want to be these robots that look exactly the same? Surely our diversity is what makes us special. Guys, I'll stop talking and ask you to comment. And also remember, people reflect the way you feel. They say things that make you feel that way. So if you're feeling tired and you feel like you got baggy eyes, you're going to find someone to go, oh, do you have baggy eyes? Right? And you'd be like, how did they spot that? Because you put it out there. Like my wife as well, after our children, is like, oh, so nice, you're pregnant again. Oh my God, my wife would just blow her top. She's like, how dare you? How dare you? You know, of course I'm not pregnant, okay? Well, after you have children, you'll see that you look. I'm like, relax, settle down, okay? Because you're judging yourself. And you know, and that's the funny thing, I realized when she was pregnant first, she says, everywhere I look, I see pregnant women. And I'm like, yeah, it's happening to me too. So when you put something out there, like you want to buy a new blue pants, right? If you like blue pants, you're going to be going around the shops, you'll be like, oh, he's got a blue pants as well. It's weird. And you're spotting blue pants everywhere. Why are you spotting? Another example, say you bit yourself somewhere on your cheek, right? You bite them in the same spot and you're like, oh, why did I do that again, right? Or if you go out on the road and trying to avoid not to trip over something, I'm not going to trip, you trip over it. Because where your attention, this is a mind-blowing fact. Because you can use this in your favor. Whatever you project out there will be shown back to you. So if you go out there going, and I teach my clients this, I wonder what miracles and magic I can expect today. And you go out there and you be like, You see? That's what it was. And when you go out there saying, oh, I'm so excited to meet this new person that's going to bring me a new opportunity. And I got my radar out there. And then someone says, hey, Rashad, I'm like, maybe this is the one, right? And Anissa goes, yeah, I got a new client for you. I said, oh, do you see? See how that worked? Because I wanted new clients. Now if I go, oh God, please don't call me for another expense or selling me an insurance policy. Not today, please, right? And the guy goes, your geyser just blew up, right? And you're like, oh no, why does it happen? A geyser is a water heater. In South Africa, we call it a geyser. I don't know why. So what you put out there in the universe is what it mirrors back to you. So if you're looking for trials and tribulations, that's what you're going to get back, right? Anybody want to ask a question or comment on this? Where you ask for it. So if you're looking, now you're talking about abundance there, right? So I wonder what abundance of opportunities will flow my way that will serve me, that I can manage, that I can handle. And now because you know it works, now you can customize that. You can tailor it and open it and close it as you like and model it the way you want. But the most difficult part for most people, which you've overcome, is recognizing that there is this universe that if you echo out there, it's all miracles and magic, that it comes back to you. Now you got to say, okay, well, how do I funnel this in here and how do I funnel that in there? Most people are just going, oh my God, why can't I get a break and attract something? And you've got the opposite situation. And that's a wonderful, so as my wife's friend used to tell me, that's a good problem to have. I was like, oh, I can't decide whether to go for holiday here or there. And he goes, well, that's a great problem to have, isn't it? Right? Because you don't want to have the problem with, I don't have any money to go on holiday, right? Or someone says, I can't decide about the carpet color. I'm like, that's a great problem to have, right? But some people actually make that a problem. Oh, I need to sleep, I have a headache. You're so blessed to be having these problems in your life, right? It's not a problem, right? So you get to make these choices. Any other questions? I remember one of these wise friends that I met with, and I was so late, and is a very dignified aristocrat. And I said, so sorry I'm late. And he said, you're right on time. You're right on time. What he meant by that is that there is only this time that you could have been here. There isn't any other time. And in the moment of time, this is your time that you're meant to be here. So he's recognizing in you the precise alignment with time, with the universe. There is only this moment. So if you turned up at this time, this is the time. But what makes us suffer is we have an expectation that you should have been here 10 minutes ago. Well, maybe you shouldn't have been here 10. Because if you had come here 10 minutes ago, you might have been killed. But there's a precise timing in the universe. But then we blame ourselves. But who's to say you're not meant to be here at that time? And when you tune in like this, you'll be like, oh, thank God I was late. It was such a blessing. Because had I turned up, I would listen to more of Rashad talking shit anyway, so I could save myself that trouble, right? So you can save yourself that headache. So there is the precise timing, and you don't need to suffer it. But look at guilt and shame, and look at how abundant it is in your life. You make a decision. Like one thing women are plagued with is like, I should be doing something else. You get this, women? I should be doing this. I should be doing that, right? And you live by that, right? I feel difficult to face abundance when it flows. Well, that's something for you to overcome. And you have to, the reason why you find abundance difficult is because maybe you don't feel worthy of abundance. And sometimes when you've got too many opportunities coming your way, maybe you don't feel worthy of so many opportunities. So it's like, whoa, it's too much for me. I can't be that worthy, is what you're saying. I can't be that worthy to receive this much. And maybe you are. I mean, and that's what we block the universe from giving us what we want. I'll tell you what, Eckhart Tolle, when I was going through a patch where there wasn't that much abundance, and he said, go out into nature and observe the abundance of nature and tune into that. And I did. And I went out and was looking at how many ants there are, how many leaves there are. You look at the sky and it's just billions of trillions of stars. In nature, it just multiplies like insanely, yet we feel like we have nothing. So one guy used a wonderful example. He said, if you go to India, he said he went there and he saw starving people begging, but the monkeys were eating their fill. They were like picking berries here, going into the neighbors and stealing a banana. Not stealing, we think it's stealing, right? nourishing themselves, and the guys are like, there's nothing to eat here, and the monkeys are just going around like full bellies. So are we not seeing the opportunities that are abundant everywhere? Or are we, because of our learned helplessness? No. And all the time, there's this thing right on top of you, this pot of gold, right? If that's what you want. But we don't see it because we're like, I don't feel worthy of it. You know the story of the elephant, right? That's where the learned helplessness comes in. So when the elephant, or it's on my video, right? But if anybody didn't watch the latest video, is that when the elephant is young, they tie a rope around its leg. And so the elephant struggles and tries to get away. And the elephant says, well, I can't get away. This rope is stronger than me. As the elephant grows up, they remove the rope. But the elephant believes, and he knows this for a fact, that he can't run away. And so his life becomes the circus. And he goes, I just wish I could get away from you. And you go up to the elephant and say, listen, buddy, you can go run out back into the wild, right? And he's like, no, this rope's too big. But there isn't any rope. This is the story of our lives, right? I'm in a dead-end relationship. Well, go leave. Go find something you want. My boss is just horrible. Well, get another boss. No, it's not so easy. Really? Right? Or whatever, my health situation, I got this thing. Well, go get healthy, right? But we don't do that. Yeah, Anissa, if you ever want to meet a fearless lion and a courageous lion, it's that woman there, Anissa. It is incredible because when we first started engaging, as all of us, we believe that we're victims to life, that life has thrown us a terrible card. And I can be quite straightforward and say, well, maybe you created all of that, and maybe you can uncreate all of that. So maybe the situation you claim to be in is the situation you create. And that was the first step that was very difficult. And the second part I said is that if you move away from something, hoping that you're going to find something better, then you're going to be mistaken, because the mirror that you created will be reflected into something else. For an example, you have a terrible boss. I will never work with this guy again. He humiliated me, blah, 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 whatever. Yes, thank you, Anissa, for sharing that. It's priceless. Then you go to another boss and you're like, oh God, he's the same boss again. Why did I do that? Same thing. The mirror you're creating. The same way when you go looking out there for something you're going to fall over, you're going to fall over it. Yeah. When you find a mirror out there and that mirror reflects those qualities that you have in you, then you go look elsewhere thinking that that person won't have those qualities. You don't look inwards, you look outwards. The first step is to look inwards and say, how am I creating that relationship that is being confirmed in that person? You're part of that creation. And that's where Anissa is saying how your generational trauma, how your past perceptions and behaviors is creating the mirror you see in a person. As Carl Jung said, we see ourselves in 1,000 different people or identities or forms, mirrors. The world is a mirror. So everything that troubles you about others is in you. That's why you recognize it. How would you know if somebody's arrogant if you didn't know what arrogance was in yourself? It wouldn't exist. You'd be like, arrogance, what is that? So if I use a word and say that person is Mexicalese, right? No, you'd be like, what's a Mexicalese? Because you don't know what that is, right? So you can't say, I see Mexicalese in him, unless you know what that is in yourself. You're like, oh, that's what it is. It's just in you. That's how you can recognize it, right? So that's the first part, is to recognize that the mirror. The second part, before you jump ship, is to know that you should move towards something. You shouldn't move away from something. This is a huge, huge understanding if you can get that. The law of attraction, the way the universe works, whatever you want to call it, if you say, I'm moving away from this, you're going to find the same thing again. But I'm moving towards that because what I have here is perfectly fine. It's a very big shift. Let me use an example because you need to get this really big. So if I say, I can't stand my boss, I'm leaving, you're moving away from. So you're hoping that this new place, that what you moved away from won't come back there. It will, because you haven't done the work here. So you do the work here, you recognize you're meant to be here, and Anissa, in not so many words, is saying the same thing, knowing why you were meant to be here and how it's encouraged and enriched your life by knowing these aspects. Now, when you've understood that where you are is exactly where you're meant to be, where you are is exactly where you're meant to be, you say, I would like to move towards more growth, more opportunities, more. It's all these positive things that you're moving towards. You're not running away from. That's why, yeah, thank you. It's huge. Now you're moving towards my growth. What that implies is that what's here, I got this. I'm not running away from anything because I've understood this. And that's where you've got to superimpose on all of this, how life is working in your favor. How, to rewind the beginning of the conversation, which was, it's not, oh my God, oh, you poor thing. No, I'm not a poor thing, okay? And being poor is not a terrible thing, is it? Is that I am exactly where I'm meant to be. Because it doesn't look right to you or to my past, that's insignificant. I am exactly where I'm meant to be. And the universe, or God, consciousness, whatever it is taking me exactly where I need to be, where I want to be. And now that's a logical shift, because it's an illogical shift, because you could say, well, actually, how do I know that with certainty that life is taking me where I'm meant to be going? Who's to say I'm meant to be resisting life and changing the direction? You'd be entirely right. Life is working in my favor and everything is working out for me? True. My life's a bunch of shit and everything's a disaster? True. Not false. There is no positivity here. Both realities are entirely correct. The only question remains, which reality do you want to live in? Right? Life's working in my favor, life working against me. Both are entirely true. So if you wake up in the morning saying, I wonder what crap is going to hit me on the desk and hit my face, you're going to find that being projected back to you. If you wake up in the morning saying, I wonder what miracles and magic await me today, both realities are entirely true. And the brain can't get this, so you've got to know. And that's what Rumi says, live your life as if though it's been rigged in your favor. Now, that's not positivity. That's recognizing that the universe, and that's John Wheeler's beautiful statement. John Wheeler was a quantum physicist and an incredible human being. He says, after all my research of quantum physics and quantum particles, he says, my conclusion is that we live in a participatory universe. We live in a participatory universe. In other words, you've heard of the observer effect. I look at a particle and it changes. And if I don't look at it, it doesn't change. So then he was saying, could me looking has an impact on what happens? And it was proven from a quantum perspective. So you know how we say when we go look for pregnant women out there and we start seeing pregnant women? That's you creating your universe. That's a participatory universe. And you go out there looking for problems and people that are going to take your money. The participatory universe brings that to you. It's quantum theory. So if we live in a participatory universe, the question you've got to ask yourself is, what kind of universe do I want to live in? So if you were not engaged in the universe, what would the universe look like outside of you? Your appearance and your consciousness has manifested the universe around you. So if you're not here, here's a question that puzzles people. And I remember I asked this question. I think most people in the group didn't sleep for 3 days. They did the masterclass. And I said, if you were not here, would the universe be here? Can you answer that with any sort of clarity? No. You can't. There's no way you can give me a definitive answer. The only way is you can logically hypothesize, because my dad was here, therefore. And another question is, where is the past and where is the future? Could you show it to me? That's why time travel, as much as we fantasize about it, can't be possible, because time is an illusion and so is space, is dimensions, right? So we can never go back to the past. Only place is here. But if we were in front of life, we can't. And the last question is that, are you awake right now or are you dreaming right now? And when you're in the dream, are you awake in the dream or are you sleeping in the dream? So are we dreaming this conversation? There's no way you can tell this for certain or not. And when you go to sleep at night, are you asleep or are you awake? Leave you all puzzled and intrigued as well. But these are the wonderful foundational questions. Because we assume a lot of things, right? We're assuming a lot of things. And then we suffer. Oh my God, my wife left me. My dog, whatever, But maybe none of this, maybe I'm not even here. Maybe it's just a dream. I'll wake up and I'll be like, I didn't even have a dog. What was that all about? So I don't have a dog, I got a cat. All right, any comments or questions? We'll finish off with a couple of minutes of silence. Not trying to understand everything that was shared here, but becoming aware of the stillness inside of you, in your body's field of awareness, and tuning in to the stillness. Welcome, Michael. Welcome to all of you. And just to be still, follow the sound of the bell. It's incredible. It's the most profound thing that I gathered out of all of my years of experience in searching. It's just learning how to be still and allowing the moment to be exactly as it is. It's the most empowering thing I've ever read or understood. And the most difficult thing, because the mind wants to resist. Welcome. The mind wants to say, I want to make something out of this moment. And if you can just for a moment let go and be this moment, you have the universe, as Lao Tzu says, for the mind that is still, the entire universe surrenders. Right? Because you're resisting, the universe is going, well, I'll throw you there and I'll throw you there, because the mirror images are just being shot at you everywhere. But if you just go, oh, and the universe goes, oh. So it's that, because you're thinking, I want that. The universe goes, no. So it's that you're engaging in the laws of opposites, laws of polarity, laws of attraction. But if you're just there, like the owl, just going, and the universe has nothing to mirror or send back to you, because you're not in any way participating. You're just this quietness, the stillness. And that's the greatest gift that I was ever given. If someone said, what's the greatest gift you ever given? This. The mind that is still and the body that is still. And that's why people spend years practicing Zen and sitting meditation. However, in today's times, it takes a lot more. I believe there's a fast track to it. And if you watch my video on being in the present moment with me, you can still be here with your eyes open, but you're here, right? Because what people do is they make meditation and they open their eyes and go, oh, I've got to go to the bank. My wife, it doesn't work. So can we do with our eyes open? We'll start off with our eyes closed and then we keep our eyes open and just be here for 3 minutes. All right? Should we do that? Okay, cool. So let's start off by closing our eyes, getting to awareness of our breath. This time, keep your mouth closed and breathe in and out through your nose only. This was Buddha's practice. It's a very powerful practice. So imagine the breath coming in gently through the nose, gently out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. And as you do that, on the inhale, expand your belly. And on the exhale, contract the belly. Inhale through the nose, expand the belly. Exhale through the nose, contract the belly. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep your eyes looking downwards. Open them, but look down. In breath. Out breath. The surroundings are secondary. Your breath focus is primary. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. In breath. Out breath. Let your breath go as it wants to. Eyes are open. Awareness is in the body. The eyes and the ears recognize that the sensory are secondary. The awareness is primary. So your focus is inward primarily. The secondary outside, the smells, the sounds, the sights are secondary. Now you're in a state of meditation while you're present and awake. And if you can bring this awareness to every moment, then you're constantly in meditation. Be aware of the stillness. Follow the sound of this bell all the way back to the stillness. All the way back. Become aware of the stillness. Feel the depths of stillness. They are layers of stillness. Wait for the last bell. See how much you can deepen your stillness into the present moment. Deep breath in and a deep breath out. If there's one thing you take away from today, it's that. Stillness, presence, awareness. It's your gift, your medicine. Take it with you, wherever you go. Take care all, and see you all in the WhatsApp group. Take care. Bye. See ya. Bye.